Good afternoon, everyone. I'm recording this video because I thought it would be helpful in maybe fully understanding the IEP assignment. A student reached out to me asking for some clarification, and I want to make sure you all have that. Excuse me. So let me paint the broad brush first before we get a little more specific. So the expectation is that this will be essentially a mock IEP meeting occurring in person during our last class. And one aspect of this is I've divided the class into assigned groups and roles. That's listed on the YO courses page. Since you're watching this, I'll go ahead and queue it up and share it with you. Give me just one moment because I need to log back into YO courses. Okay, now I think I can share the screen here. Share. This is my list of things to make sure I talk about. There's YO courses. I've listed up here in syllabus and assignment. There's a document that just has your assigned group and your role in each group. During this mock IEP meeting, you'll be playing the role of the individual that's noted there. You may notice that there's a couple of key individuals that aren't given roles right here that are also very critical to the IEP process. And I note that in the syllabus, that includes a district representative / administrator sort of person, and then also, of course, the student themselves. And for those roles, I've asked that on the day of, and this was intentional to say day of versus ahead of time, we can select someone in the classroom to play those roles, and it'll be a fairly minor role. It does require your group to write up a short paragraph long narrative for each of these two kind of extra roles, so to speak. That way they have some direction in terms of how you want them to present and what's consistent with the IEP meeting and how you're shaping up the direction of it to go. But at the same time, doesn't put a ton of pressure on them while they feel like, oh, there's this whole extra part of the assignment with that in addition to this main part. I think it's important to focus on this part. In those roles, the administrator and the student will be fairly straightforward roles. I assigned these groups and the roles pretty much randomly. It wasn't entirely randomly. I had a particular pattern that I decided on doing ahead of time, but it was essentially like, okay, first person on the list goes here, next person on the list goes here, first person on the list goes here, next person on the list goes here, and kind of went down that way. And then plugged in the roles just in order that I had everyone's name listed. Some other aspects of this presentation that might be helpful to know. Let me close it because I don't need that anymore. You will need to bring IEP form for your group to fill out. Someone that's appropriate for the role will have to be in a little bit of a secretary role throughout. Wyoming has a state model IEP form, but the school districts of Wyoming are not required to necessarily use it if they have another form they use. And so I've included the form in YO courses, and also I've included a link to go to the WDE's page where you can see more special ed form. Let's go ahead and look at that. Here's the form itself, and here's the link I was talking about. It'll take you to the WDE page that has forms listed for all sorts of things, but definitely for IEPs. Not only the I-4 is that main one, but also there's a measurable goals page, which you will likely use in your presentation as well, and some additional forms. The intention is that this is a student's very first IEP meeting. So they've kind of gone through the process. The parents have been given their notice ahead of time, their prior written notice, and now the IEP meeting is upon them, and it's the beginning of it. There were a couple of aspects that I wanted this assignment to meet that are part of just some things we need to touch on from a K-CREP perspective. And you'll see them there in the assignment. They're listed by their K-CREP number and has a statement there. Is a result of trying to fit one of these in that's related to facilitate school and post-secondary transitions. I've made it required that whatever scenario you come up with, the child is 1 year before either moving building levels or graduating from high school, so that you'll have to address that aspect of it. For your roles, feel free to look up information. If you haven't been part of an IEP team before, go ahead and look up expectations and roles and responsibilities of each of these positions. For school counselors, ASCA has its own statement for IEPs and school counselors. It's one of the position statements ASCA has. And my trigger, honestly, is anytime I was doing something new as a school counselor, like facing a new issue that I know might come up a lot, or working with a certain identified population, or working in a new role as a school counselor. In those moments, I would refer to the ASCA position statements, and oftentimes they were extremely helpful for me, at least in terms of giving the broad picture direction. Because we haven't covered IEP special ed yet with school counselors, is a school counselor, it's going to be pretty important that you take some time to read through the literature. The chapter that's due for reading for our next and final class, that's related to this topic. I know from past work we've done, you all know easily enough how to navigate University of Wyoming's online library resources and look at school counseling specific journal articles around it. So all the material you need is there and available to you. And at the graduate level, sometimes it does take some kind of seeking out on your own, which could be a little bit of pain, but in many ways it gives you an opportunity to find it on your own. You'll be finding a lot of things either on your own or through consultation and support from others in your school counselor network over the next few years. I think if there's anything else, I think I hit on most of the topics, but I probably should double check against the list I made here to make sure I'm not missing anything. As far as expectations for the IEP meeting, my expectation is that you come into this meeting prepared. You and your group members have not necessarily met around this, but had a dialogue around the specifics of who's going to do what. Someone in your group has been, however you decide to divvy it up, someone's taken the time to write the 2 super short narratives for the extras casted in your IEP meeting, and also take the time to fill out kind of the basic demographic information on the IEP form ahead of the meeting, just so we can breeze through that and kind of focus on the key aspects of the IEP meeting. So I think that's about all I wanted to share. If there's something any of you are in the dark about or feel like I haven't explained it well or in depth, let me know. Go ahead and review the YO courses syllabus. I did, after a student reached out to me yesterday, I did take time to read back through it, and while the core of it sounded good, I definitely added more to it to hopefully explain the situation a lot better. And I know that was a little bit of a work in progress in the sense of, is my idea for the assignment transformed and changed? It required kind of thinking a little bit about it. And, funny enough, seeing, I had no idea he's going to do that, but seeing the activity Paul kind of incorporated during his teaching demo, it made me think, oh, huh. Gave me an opportunity to kind of see what was working, what wasn't working, and hopefully have a meaningful assignment. After the IEP meeting is complete, we're going to take some time to share feedback. I might ask some questions. I would love it if other students do the same of those that were actively in the IEP meeting, because I want this to be an opportunity for us to learn, and coming to this with an attitude of, while we're coming in prepared, at the same time this is a learning experience, and maybe especially so for those that are less familiar with IEPs or have served on an IEP team before, but maybe not in a school counseling role. So let me know what you think. Let me know if if there's anything else I could illuminate further, or if any questions come up. So hope you all have a good day.